Hi everyone and welcome, this is the Islamophobic Prophet. Hi everyone and welcome, this is the Apostate Prophet. We hear it all the time when we talk about all the horrible things that radical Muslims do in today's world. Whenever one of the things like terrorism, gang rapes, grooming gangs or murders are mentioned, people always tell us that those Muslims are not real Muslims, especially the first one. And I want to take that issue and talk about on what basis Muslims make such claims. I also want to talk about who the real Muslims are. Now, when you talk about such things, you are very often accused of being an Islamophobe or a white supremacist. And I am a perfect white supremacist, as you can see, First, I want to say thanks to all my Patreon supporters. There have been many new supporters this month, and I will connect to you very soon and start doing activities such as live chats, one-on-ones, public Q&As, and credits. I appreciate your support very much, I really do. Okay, back to topic. Whenever a Muslim tells me something about not real Muslims, I have to think about the moderate Muslims in Europe or in countries like Turkey. They cuss, they have sex outside of marriage, they drink alcohol, they gamble, they visit prostitutes, they don't pray at all, and the only prayer they respect is the Friday prayer. They do all of these things, but they don't eat pork, because that is so horrible. Those people are the ones who call themselves Muslims and tell everyone that other Muslims, radicals, who follow the Islamic religion in a much better way, from an Islamic point of view, are not real Muslims. But if any outsider was asked about which of those two is a Muslim, every outsider would probably point at the radical one rather than the moderate European Muslim. People are so much worried about Islamophobia that they never have the idea to call those westernized Muslims not real Muslims. Even though Muhammad said that if someone behaves like non-Muslims, he is one of them. And from an Islamic point of view, moderates in Europe aspire to behave like non-Muslims. In Islam, it is called takfir, and actually considered extremely wrong to accuse self-proclaimed Muslims of not being Muslims. There are hundreds of mentions on that. It has been repeated in history so many times. There are hadiths on that. There are scholarly opinions on that. And they all warn against this. Never say that another self-proclaimed Muslim is not a real Muslim or not a Muslim. Or if they openly acknowledge an Islamic rule, but dismiss the importance of it, or the authority of it. And according to the Sunnah, you are on the verge of being an infidel yourself if you accuse another Muslim of not being a Muslim, or accusing them of apostasy. You can only do that if those people actually say that they don't believe in Islam. Now, radical Muslims, compared to those moderate Muslims, observe the tenets of their faith, observe daily, weekly, monthly, yearly practices of their faith. They try to spread their faith, and they actually know about their faith. Numerous studies have found out so far that radical Muslims know much more about Islam than moderate Muslims. But those radical Muslims are called not real Muslims because of one single thing: killing people. When moderate Muslims call ISIS and other Muslims not real Muslims, they actually have a point. But they don't know that point, of course, because they never think that far. In Islam, it's said it is considered a crime to accuse other people of apostasy or of not being Muslims. But it is even a worse crime to kill other Muslims, because the Quran says that one who kills a Muslim will go to hell and stay there forever. Based on that, we could assume that the moderate Muslims are right in calling terrorists not real Muslims, because terrorists kill other Muslims, right? Well, it's not that easy, because the terrorists have a point here as well. Their actions of labeling other Muslims as apostates and non-Muslims and killing them can be justified as well. Because Muhammad has a quote that gives terrorists the perfect way to kill other Muslims and justify it. And terrorists follow that quote, they follow that hadith. You can see it everywhere on their publications, and they spread that hadith. And they don't even think that what they're doing is wrong according to Islam. They believe they follow their religion completely and truthfully. No wonder. Here is the hadith. According to this hadith, Muhammad said, "During the last days there will appear some young foolish people who will say the best words, but their faith will not go beyond their throats, in that they will have no faith, and will go out from their religion as an arrow goes out of the game. So wherever you find them, kill them, for whoever kills them shall have reward on the day of resurrection. Now this hadith is not just some word that doesn't need to be taken seriously. It is an authentic Sahih hadith and has to be accepted as such by each and every person who calls himself a Sunni Muslim. According to the Sunnah, someone who sees a rule in the Quran or the Hadith and rejects it willingly becomes an apostate. According to Islam and every Sharia in history, such people need to repent. If they don't, they need to be punished and killed eventually, if they don't leave such heresy. And ISIS does that exact same thing. They follow the Hadith. Therefore, calling them non-Muslims and not real Muslims just because they kill people or because they kill other Muslims is nonsense. Many Muslims call them so out of ignorance. Others even call them so even though they know that they are not allowed to make such statements, because they want to make the image of Islam clean in today's world. Of course, there's also the fact that both parties could take that hadith and similar hadith and use it against each other and kill each other. And that's what a mess Islam is. And that's what a mess Islam was in history and is still now in conflicts like those in Iraq or Syria. In history, Sunni Muslims killed Shia Muslims and vice versa. They also killed other Muslims who branched out of their own religion. Off the top of my head, there was this expansion of Shiite Muslims and Alevi Muslims in Turkey, for example, in the Ottoman Empire, and a huge massacre was done because people were spreading a heresy of Islam. They always justified this because the other side was accused of apostasy and heresy and therefore deserved to be killed according to their own point of view. Muslims can exploit such loopholes and collectively accuse each other of heresy and apostasy and consequently kill each other and justify that. To each one of them, the other side are not real Muslims or plainly non-Muslim heretics. To us, they should all be considered Muslims. Sunnis are Muslims, Shiites are Muslims, Ibadis are Muslims. Salafis, who also identify with Sunni Islam, are Muslims. And extreme Salafis such as ISIS are Muslims as well. They claim that they follow Muhammad's prophecies, that they follow Muhammad's and the Quran's rules, and they want to establish Islamic order in the world, which is called Sharia, led by the Caliphate. People who oppose them are considered rebels and heretics and apostates. They are labeled that way and killed. Whether those rebels are Muslims or not doesn't really matter to ISIS. They are still following an Islamic path and can justify every horrible thing they are doing very easily. Sex slavery is there, killing civilians and non-Muslims is there. The only thing that I find unjustifiable is burning people alive, since a hadith strictly says that no one should burn another person alive. But that doesn't make you a non-Muslim. To make it very short, if a party follows Islam, fulfills the basic tenets of the faith, and preaches that so, they are considered Muslims. And denying that is a very bad thing, almost a crime in Islam. So from a Sunni perspective, both moderates and radicals are Muslims. From a non-Islamic point of view, they are all Muslims, so I don't know why we are even talking about this anyway, but whatever. But now that we are here, from a Sunni perspective, Shiite Muslims are not Muslims. From a Shia perspective, Sunnis are not real Muslims. That's why Shia and Sunni had wars in history, and both sides always claimed that it was completely justified to slaughter the other side. You ever heard about the peaceful Muslim country Oman? People in Oman are mostly Ibadi Muslims. Ibadis are considered heretics from both the Sunni and the Shia perspectives, while Ibadis have a rather moderate view on the others. Non-denominational Muslims are considered false Muslims in all of these sects. Quranist Muslims are considered non-Muslims because both according to the Sunnis and according to the Shiites, you have to accept more than just the Quran in order to follow Islam. Quranists rely solely on weird interpretations of the Quran, and they don't like other Muslims as real Muslims either. Ever heard about Ahmadi Muslims? The really peaceful ones who reject most of the violent and misogynistic stuff in Islam? They are non-Muslims from any Muslim perspective, because they reject basic tenets of the faith. Salafis or Wahhabis, who are the royals in Saudi Arabia, Many of the terrorist groups and others are not considered non-Muslims from a Sunni point of view, because they still identify with Sunni teachings. They only have a mild problem with the sectarianism within Sunni Islam, but they are fine with that. So a Sunni Muslim telling you that ISIS cannot be considered Muslims or real Muslims has no idea what they are talking about. So in all this mess, at least one side accuses at least one other side of not being real Muslims, or of not being Muslims at all. If we take each of those accusations on all of those sides for a fact, then the world's Muslim population is basically 0. But Muslims will keep calling at least 1/4 of the Muslim population not real Muslims or non-Muslims, while still bragging about being the world's second biggest, largest religion. So in the end, from some perspective, no Muslim is really considered a real Muslim. So the world's Muslim population is basically, yeah, there is none. I knew this video would end like this. There is just no reasonable way out of this stupid logic. Can we talk about something more important than such moronic? Thanks for watching. If you like this video and my content in general, you can consider supporting me on Patreon. I would appreciate it so much. You can find the link easily in the description below. And can pledge a monthly amount in any way that you want. If you want to do it only once, you can just sign up, pledge an amount, and take it back in the month afterwards. I appreciate any kind of support. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe and to share, and to like. And if you want to follow me for more updates, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm very active there. Also mildly on Facebook, even though I hate Facebook. And that's it. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day. Oh yeah, stay away from Islam.